Joining me to unpack all of this, we have a former Concourse. She's a founder, CEO of Green Industries. And she's going to discuss the opportunities that lie here and how technology is shaping the future of agriculture in Nigeria. It's great to have you on the show. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you.
All right, so, definitely we import a lot of things, in this country. And we've seen, recent moves, from the federal government to try and even though we're exporting some things, let's try and export finished products. We've seen them make moves with shea nuts just recently. But I want you to, let's start with the big picture, at this point. What would you say are the big opportunities here? Because we see the global market is yearning for some of these products, but we import a lot of wheat.
Yeah.
So talk to me about the potential here for gluten-free, processed agricultural products. I know you deal, in that sector. What are the opportunities you're seeing there?
Okay, thank you. High-value processed agricultural products, especially gluten-free flours that are gotten from cassava, soy, sorghum, there's a growing rapid market for it. For example, let me give an example, in the domestic market. People are looking for healthy alternatives, because of diseases like diabetes, obesity. So healthier, natural, and functional foods that has clean labels is very, very high, which gluten-free flours are at the height of it.
Right.
So,
and, some people might not know what gluten is and why some foods should be gluten-free. Help us unpack that.
Okay. For example, cassava, is gluten-free, meaning that if like in wheat, there are some people that they are allergic to gluten. So, but cassava naturally does not have gluten, is gluten-free, unlike wheat. And we know that Nigeria, they import like up to $2 billion worth of gluten annually. And there's this global market that needs gluten-free flour a lot because of healthier living for people.
And I'm talking about, cassava, yam flour. I think some believe that the taste is different.
Okay.
Do you see that? Because you process most of these types of wheat. Is the taste, does it match up to the taste of wheat?
Okay. They have different characteristics.
Okay.
Yes. So wheat has its characteristics. Cassava flour has its own characteristics. So based on their distinct differences, they don't taste alike. Yeah.
Right. And we've talked about, export potential, at this point. What exactly is that market like? And with your experience, I'm sure you've done some export business, with, cassava, flour and all of that. Well, what's it like?
Okay, yes. The global market for gluten-free flour is expected to grow to $13 billion by 2030. So there is great potential for that. Just like I've said before, people are tending towards natural and healthier products. And locally, like our government, they are encouraging local substitutes to be able to take some market share from the imports of this wheat flour. So you can remember, like during Jonathan regime, he did 20% cassava flour into bread and other food confectionaries. And also this government too is something that they're also pushing for the local substitutes for these are imported products. Yes.
Right. And
is
it easy, getting a business in the global market if you're looking for, buyers to export to? What's the process like, for, your kind of products?
Okay, there is huge prospects to that. But there's a lot required. For example, certifications. Before you move your product globally, they are very, very keen on certifications. And if Green is positioned right from that, because we ensure that we have our domestic certifications and our international certifications for the country that you want to export to.
Right. And how hard is it, getting some of these certifications? I'm sure there's some people in the sideline, trying to get into this export business, but they don't understand, the process. And some might just say, you know what, I'm not even going to get into it. It seems like a tall order, at this point. Break down the process for us. You're a business, you're trying to get international buyers, you have the product, you're producing it, at this point. How do you get those buyers out there? Or do they come look for you? Do the buyers come and look for you, from the global market? How do you go about it?
Okay, so there is not a one-size-fits-all. There are some, we have our website. Some goes to our website, they communicate to us directly, either via, because when you go there, you can contact us through our numbers, through emails. They come through emails, they come through our WhatsApp numbers. There are some who do exhibitions. It can be local exhibitions where they come in and they look at the products. So it is either way. So there's market for it. And when they come, the processes to get those certifications, for example, if you have ISO, HACCP, all those things, if you're entering into the American market like the FDA, all these, if it's some Asia countries, you have to have like halal. So all this process, they believe that if a product have those certifications, you must have gone through the rigorous processes and standard operation procedures for producing that product. So they believe that for you to have those certifications, your product is within the standard that is required for you to bring it into their countries.
Right. So production, where we're trying to move from consumption to production, from importing, many of the things that we need in the country, we're trying to switch that up, at this time, so that we can earn more forex and stop sending out, scarce dollars, at this point. What would you say is your experience so far with production in the country? Have you seen, improvement? Is your overhead costs, is it dropping, at this point? What are you seeing there?
Okay, I think it's a paradox in the sense that it's better than what it used to be, but we can improve. You can see that, for example, from the last regime to this present Tinubu administration, there have been policies, government policies, that has been helping helping the local substitutes to be able to gain market penetration both domestically and internationally. For example, like cassava, when we had now we're having the fluctuation in the naira and all that. So importing is high. So local substitutes like from cassava.
The naira dollar fluctuation is not like before.
Yes,
it has improved.
Yes,
right?
Yes, companies, big food companies are now looking inward for these substitutes, which are quite affordable now, and also the nutrient-wise. So, and again, the government are giving some incentives, intervention funds that can also help to cushion those the risk that is involved both from the farm to the processing facilities and also in working capitals and also machineries that are involved. So that aspect is improving gradually, but also we have the aspect of light, electricity, which is very crucial.
Because I'm sure your machines gulp a lot of power.
Yes. So it helps to reduce our profitability, and also our cost of production is high, which needs to be improved on nationally, because it's not what, you can decide to say, okay, let me be able to fix it on my own side. But what are the other MSMEs? And also getting another substitute of that power, which is the solar, it is capital intensive. How many SMEs can afford what they can use to generate to power their equipment?
And this season, we've not had much sun.
Yes.
This season.
Yes.
So how are you managing with diesel? Even though we see diesel prices, I think they've come down.
Not really, but it is still, power consumes like 60% of your cost of production. That is why sometimes it's difficult to compete with the international market. Sometimes when they come for you and they give you some prices that are ridiculous, they say, no, this is what we want to buy. And if you try to do your metrics, you can't compete. So that is another hindrance or another bottleneck to local production.
Right, and you know, for gluten-free wheat, I know you are a producer there, but not everybody can be a producer. You've talked about your challenges there with power and overhead costs. What are the opportunities for middlemen, there for the kind of guy that says, you know what, I want to connect the buyer and the seller? How does that work?
Okay, what we produce at If Green is a cassava, high-quality cassava flour. Part of our products, that's gluten-free flour, not wheat gluten-free.
No, yes, gluten-free flour, yeah.
Yes. Okay, there is a place for them, but we have the B2B, business to business, and the business to consumers. So in the business to consumers, there's a place for them, the middleman, yes? They can bring in market where they can also have something in it. But most times, business to business, initially, it can be a middleman, but along the line of the transaction of the business, you have to deal directly with the companies. Because there are a lot that is required, there's going to be a relationship between the processor and also the business that you are selling to, because it requires a lot of documentations, a lot of certificates of analysis. You have to work with them. So in that part of the middleman is very, very minimal.
Right, and so the middlemen don't make that much money in your sector?
Well, they can make, even like in export, sometimes they can get the clients while they tell you, okay, this, how much are you selling? Then you sell to them. They are the ones who sell to the final consumer. They are the third party, they say third-party export. They sell to the final business they want to take it to. So yeah, export-wise, yes.
And quite a profitable business.
Yes, it's a profitable business.
So what are you seeing, for your sector? We've dusted the first half, of 2025. What are you seeing, in this second half and going into 2026? You see a soft landing, for your business, for your industry. What are you seeing?
Yes, there's a market for gluten-free flours, especially cassava gluten-free flours, because just like I said, there's a global gluten-free market, which by 2030 is going to be we are looking at $13 billion, and also we also have diasporas that are abroad in different parts of the country that are seeking for staple cassava products and also gluten-free flours, either from cassava, from sorghum, from soy, plantain. Yes, there's a huge market for that.
Right. We'll definitely keep, tracking that market, because we're trying to improve on our exports, at this time. And we don't want the same story with most of our commodities. We want to try and get our finished goods, to the market there, because ever since, we have President Trump, everybody's trying to protect their trade, at this point. But thank you so much for joining us for this conversation. Ifeoma Okonkwo is the founder and CEO of If Green Industries. It was great having you today. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah.